Greetings from Cote D'ivoire. Bonjour. I'm an American living in Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire, or it's better known as the Ivory Coast. And I live in the city of Abidjan of about 4 million people. And I'm a passport bro or expat. I just use those labels to speak to men who are in the passport bro movement, or maybe guys that are thinking about becoming expats. And so this is a new YouTube channel. And I'm trying to experiment with different formats and trying to speak to men my age in their 50s, 40s, 50s, 60s, to maybe give you an idea of what it's like living in Abidjan and why I became an expat. It's very difficult on YouTube to speak freely. Say certain words, or if you speak your mind, sometimes it can, people will get very offended. And so what I did is I went on ChatGPT to script a video for me. And let me tell you something, whenever you do that, you're gonna get these filtered, curated scripts that are mostly politically correct, and it doesn't give you really a true idea of what it's like being an expat. And of course, trying to do search parameters, it's very difficult to find anything online to try to script your video and have it be authentic. So I'm going to give you the ChatGPT version, and then I'm going to give you my thoughts on it and my personal experience, and I'll be a little bit more raw. Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to dive into a topic I know many of you are curious about, and that's finding love or relationships in the country of Cote d'Ivoire. Now, as someone who's experienced this firsthand, I'm here to share some of the advantages of dating in this beautiful country and how to avoid love scams and what it's like to navigate relationships as an American, specifically a white American in West Africa. So let's get into it. The advantages of finding love or relationships in Cote d'Ivoire. Cote d'Ivoire, or Ivory Coast, is not only known for its stunning beaches and vibrant culture, but also for its warm and welcoming people. One of the first things you'll notice is the emphasis on family and community. Relationships here are built on deeper connections and shared values, and people tend to be very open-hearted. If you're someone who's looking for a partner who values loyalty, family, and long-term commitment, Cote d'Ivoire is a great place to find that. Another big plus, there's no pressure to rush things. The dating culture here encourages getting to know one another on a genuine level. If you're used to fast-paced dating scenes in the United States, it feels like relationships are often transactional or fleeting, and you'll find Cote d'Ivoire refreshing. People here tend to be more traditional. Now let's talk about a bit about my experience dating as an American here and being a white American in Cote d'Ivoire. It's true that being a foreigner, especially from the West, can come with certain perceptions, but overall people are very open and curious. You'll definitely stand out. It's almost like you'll find out what it's like to be a pretty girl walking down the street because everyone stares at you. It's often in a positive way. I found that people here are eager to learn about you, where you're from, and what you bring to the relationship. As long as you approach the dating scene with respect, an open mind, and the willingness to learn about the culture, you'll have a great experience. That being said, you may encounter people that maybe don't have your best interest at heart. Love scams, let's talk about it. Of course, no conversations about dating abroad would be complete without touching on safety and protecting yourself from scams. Unfortunately, love scams do happen. It's happened to me, especially when people are looking to take advantage of foreigners. But don't let that deter you. First, always take your time. Scammers tend to move fast. If someone is professing love or asking for money early on, that's a big red flag. Second, do your research. Get to know the person you're talking to and meet their friends and family. Building trust is important, and when meeting people online, make sure you have a face-to-face meeting in public places before getting too emotionally invested. Finally, trust your gut. If something feels off, don't ignore it. Just because someone is charming or seems perfect doesn't mean they're being honest. Always prioritize your safety and well-being and protect your wallet at all times. Finding love in Cote d'Ivoire has its unique advantages. It's about connection, family values, and genuine commitment. For those of us from the West, it can be refreshing change of pace, but like anywhere else in the world, it's important to stay smart and aware of potential scams, especially if you're dating online or meeting someone for the first time. Now, with that being said, I want to tell you about even I fell for a love politically correct script that I read from ChatGPT. Now I want to tell you the real. I have only been to Nigeria and Cote d'Ivoire in the country of West, or in the area of West Africa. Africa is a huge continent, obviously. So there are many countries. And what you'll find here is there is about half the continent of Africa speaks English, and the other half roughly speaks French. Now, so I've had the opportunity to go to two West African countries, Nigeria and Cote d'Ivoire. Now, I don't have vast experience in Nigeria, but I did spend off and on probably a total of about 4 or 5 months over the course of 2 years, and I was in Lagos. And let me tell you, the disadvantage of going to an English-speaking country is that that country is going to be have very close ties culturally to America. In fact, Nigeria women and people there are very westernized, and so it makes it a little bit more the same if you're trying to avoid or if you're trying to get out of the American culture. Now, the one thing I'll say about, and we'll just listen, I only went to Lagos, but I noticed, this was my experience, and I dated many women. I've dated women. I've met a lot of women. I know many people. I have Nigerian friends now. And the one thing you'll notice here in Africa that I've noticed that's different from Asia is I've been to South Korea, I've been to South America in some parts, and I've been to Europe. I've been to Italy. So let me just, and I'm an experienced man. I'm ex-military. I'm no stranger to red light districts. I know very well. I usually, it's very easy in those types of countries to spot prostitutes because you can go to a certain area and it's transactional. The difference here or in Nigeria was, and I've noticed even here too, is that you will oftentimes, the women who are prostitutes don't identify themselves as prostitutes. They are normally, they look normal, they're average looking, or sometimes maybe they're a little bit above average. And I noticed that you can even get on Tinder, go on a date, and then you'll think that you're hitting off with this person. And if you're, if you're kind of a player, or you go on a date and it goes really well, and maybe you go back to a hotel with somebody, and then you might spend the night and have a lovely evening, and if you know what I mean. And then the next day, they hit you up for money. They tell you what the cost is. Now, listen, that can be very disconcerting and very dangerous. Number one, because you could even ask. I've had this experience. Are you a prostitute? No, I'm not a prostitute. And yet they're holding their hand out saying, I need, $50,000 an hour or $40,000 an hour, whatever it was. And then you're like, what the fuck just happened? So you have to be very careful. Women over here don't like to identify. There are many prostitutes and these women that want to be paid for their time. And then they'll try to pass it off. Oh, that's just the culture over here. No, they're prostitutes. And you're going to run into them everywhere you go. But that was because I was in the high tourist area of Lagos. So when I came to Cote d'Ivoire, I made sure that as soon as I got here, I found out that there's a place not too far from here. It's called Zone 4. That is where all the prostitutes, paid girlfriends, and people that are just trying to take advantage of you are. And even if they're not trying to take advantage of you, they have this mentality of having transactional relationships. Stay away from those. And here's how you can find out if a woman really has genuine attraction for you. First of all, they're not going to ask for any money. And if you're not sure, you can even offer to pay for their cab or pay for something. And if she accepts it, I would say that's probably a red flag. If you're with a woman or if you're dating a woman, find out are they being reciprocal? I have dated women now in Cote d'Ivoire, Abidjan, and even though they were poor, they had very little means, they would reciprocate. I've noticed that's the difference between Nigerian women and Ivorian women, is that they will actually reciprocate. Even if they have very little, they'll buy you a t-shirt. They'll offer to pay for something. Those are the ones that you know that you're having a genuine connection with, and they're not just trying to use you. Now, the problem is there's not very many white people here. So you are going to stand out. You're going to get approached. You're going to get stared at. And so it makes it even harder to try and shift or sift through if people are genuine or not. And you also have men that want to talk to you. I walk down the street and people want to take pictures with me. People want to get my phone number. They ask me for jobs. And that's the next thing I want to talk about is the perception of white people here in Africa. Okay, today we're here with Michelle. From your childhood, from what you've seen on social media, what you've seen in your experience in your life being Ivorian, can you please tell me what your perception is of European and especially white Europeans and what your experience with Americans has been? So what is your perception of white people and what shaped those perceptions? What made you think these things about white men?
My opinion, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. My opinion is white people is okay, good person. Right? White people, when white people speak, not speak false, it speak true. You understand? But it's when you have in my experience, when you have boyfriend, white people, African people respect you. Because African people respect white people. When you go restaurants, people come, you speak with white people first, after black people. Yes, it's my experience.
But when you were younger, you dated Ivorian men. You're not just you dated Ivorian African men in your adult life, right?
What?
Okay, so how many white men have you dated in your life?
How many white people?
Yeah, how many white men have you dated or had a relationship with in America?
Three.
Three
White people.
Okay, and was that in Ukraine?
Ukraine too, and
how many American?
One.
I'm your first American.
Yeah, first American.
Okay, so what is the difference between say an Ivorian man, an African native, or versus white man? What is your preference?
My preference?
Mm-hmm.
I prefer white people because white people give true love. Yes, give true love. White people is serious in a relationship. Yes.
And so you didn't find that was necessarily true when you dated Ivorian or African men?
Yes.
You find a big difference between the two?
Big difference because white people speak true. White people in serious in relation.
Mm-hmm. So basically, there are several cultural and social historical reasons why some people in Cote d'Ivoire, as well as other parts of West Africa, may have a positive view of older white Americans and European men. They have a perception that the man is stable, that he's secure, and particularly from Western countries, are often seen as more stable and financially secure. In many West African cultures, financial stability and the ability to provide for a family is greater. They are highly valued in their relationships. Older men are often perceived as more reliable and ready for long-term commitment, which aligns with traditional values of family and partnership in Cote d'Ivoire. Cultural exchange and admiration for the West. Many Ivorians and West Africans admire Western culture, education, and lifestyle. They often associate white Westerners with access to better opportunities, higher education, and a lifestyle that is aspirational. This admiration for Western cultures can translate into a positive view of Western men, especially older ones, who may represent wisdom, success, and experience. Historical ties and influences in culture in Cote d'Ivoire, like many West African nations, has colonial ties with European countries, particularly France, and the history throughout is complicated. Europeans or Americans can lead to a better quality of life, social mobility, or access to global opportunities. Respect for age and experience here amongst Africans. They place a high value on age, seeing older individuals as more wise and experienced when combined with the perception of Westerners as financially stable can give you an advantage in your perception of status. They may romanticize foreigners, and in some cases. Okay, so that's the video. I want to encourage men, if they're serious, if you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, if you're retired, I really want to encourage you to consider West Africa. And here's why. Asia, especially Thailand and Philippines, are inundated with Americans. You're going to have a different experience. Here in Cote d'Ivoire, there are so few Americans that they still have a positive view on American men here. And they highly respect you, both men and women. Dating is so much easier. There really are a lot of traditional women here, if that's something you're looking for. I personally came to Cote d'Ivoire for the intent and purposes of forming a family. And as you can see, I had a baby. But even if you're looking for a spouse or looking for a partner to do that with, Cote d'Ivoire is a great place. It really is. And you're still going to experience a different culture. Of course, you're going to experience African culture, but there's still many beautiful beaches here. I'm going to be going out and showing that very soon. And it really is comparable to places in Asia, the Philippines. It's clean, the beaches are beautiful, the people are so friendly, and depending on your taste of women, of course, that's always going to be a factor. But let me just tell you real quick before I end the video, one of the reasons why I came to Africa. When I was in America, I would date black women. And in America, there's a lot of social pressure to date within your age range. And I remember one time, especially if you're a guy like me who makes an average income, I'm not rich, I'm not a one percenter, but with my average American salary, I come here, I am automatically boosted up in status because I make more than doctors, lawyers, and any of the educated people here, especially in Abidjan. Cost of living here is about half of what you pay anywhere else. It is comparable. It's maybe not as cheap as some of the places in Asia, but still the cost of living is so much better that your money's going to go further. And and I just want to, say that especially if you're a white man with a medium income, your status here is going to be so elevated. I remember one time in California, I was trying to date around my age. I dated a black woman, and this woman only made about $1,000 a month. And she was, beautiful, and she was fun to be around. And I was thinking about a serious relationship with her, but she was very hesitant because she told me, "Oh, well, in person, you're great. You're tall and white and good looking." But on paper, she basically told me that my income was not enough to satisfy her hypergamous nature. That's what I read into it. And that was about 6 or 7 years ago. And that was really when I was like, what the fuck? How? Women in America, the expectations are so high. The cost of living is so high that even if a woman likes you, they're so conditioned and programmed that you have to give. They always want 6 figures, 6 packs, 6 inches. And, when you come here, automatically you can bypass that whole financial status thing, even if you're not rich, even if you're not making 6 figures. And here you will be treated. So there's a saying on the internet, right? Go to where you're appreciated. And for me, America was just out. I wasn't willing to go out and continue work. I can make 6 figures in the United States, no problem. But it's the women. It is the women that disincentivize going out and doing that. Why would you want to give your time, energy, income, resources to someone who's not going to appreciate it? Here, they're going to appreciate it. Now, I know that relationships are transactional. No matter where you go, you have to have resources. It's not like you can't come over here and be a bum and expect that you're going to get a woman or have a relationship. You have to provide something, an incentive for a woman to be with you. That's just the reality of life. So every woman, this is where I'm going to get a lot of hate. Every woman is a gold digger. Everyone, every single one. Women, it's a natural state. It's just that some women hide the shovel a little bit better. And that you don't have to view that in a negative way. It's just natural. Men provide and women accept. And so you have to have at least a modest amount of resources in order to start a family. So don't come over here with any illusions that you're just, oh, boy, if you're just white, you're just going to be able to do whatever you want. That's not what I'm saying. If you come here to Africa, be respectful to the culture, be respectful to women and men, and represent America very well. Because as you know, white men in America our status has slowly declined. But here in French-speaking countries, you will be appreciated and you will be treated with respect, and you can forge a nice life here. So I highly encourage anyone who's thinking about coming to Africa, come to Cote d'Ivoire. And if anyone needs help or more information, you can certainly contact me on my YouTube, and I'd be happy to help you and answer any questions that you have. Okay, bonne journée from Cote d'Ivoire.